everyone. Tonight we're going to learn about stem and leaf plots as well as histograms, both of which measure frequency, which is why I'm putting them together. And I'm hoping it's not going to take us too long, but if I do move too quickly, feel free to pause, rewind, and rewatch. Now hopefully you read the bottom of the packet, which asks you to complete the investigation page, which is page 2, before watching the video. So let's take a look at that, assuming you've already tried it. It says the following list represents grades on a recent test. Which of the above numbers are in the 40s? Okay, I see one and it's 42. In the 50s, I see none. In the 60s, I see one. In the 70s, I see 73 and 78. In the 80s, you should be seeing 82, 84, 86. And then lastly, the 90s, there's a 91, a 94, and a 99. I promise there's a reason why I'm doing this. Flip the page. We're going to start with stem and leaf plots. Okay, and as I mentioned a moment ago, they're used to show frequency, okay, which is how frequently or how often something occurs. Okay, this is an alternative to making a histogram, which also measures frequency. And like I said, we'll look at both. Okay, the stem values of a stem and leaf plot are listed on the left-hand side, and they represent the larger place value. You can only have one stem per leaf. Okay, and then the leaf values are listed on the right, and those represent the least place value. And you can have more than one leaf per stem. And it all sounds funny because it sounds like we're just talking about trees or something or plants, but this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we take the same values from that warm-up or that investigation from the previous page, okay, we can organize those values into a stem and leaf. Okay, stems on the left, leaves on the right. Okay, and if you notice, okay, these represent, okay, the 4 represents the numbers that are in the 40s, okay, which we said there was 42. So we put the 4 here and the 2 here. So this represents the tens place and the ones place. There were no 50s. Okay, so instead of putting a 0 there to try to say, oh, there's 0 of these, we just leave it blank. Because if you put a 0, you're putting 50, which is actually the number 50, and that's not what we want. So we move on to the 6s, okay, the 60s. There was a 67, so I have a 6, 7. So that 6 bar 7 represents 67. For the 70s, there was a 73 and a 78. Okay, and that's where you have more than one leaf per stem. Okay, we always put them from least to greatest. Okay, and then this just represents more than one number in the 70s. 73, 78. For the 80s, we had 82, 84, 86. Okay. And lastly, the 90s, we had 91, 94, 99. Okay, so it's really weird looking, but not too challenging to build. When you're all set, flip to the next page. Okay, I think I'd like you to try this page on your own. Okay, it has the steps for you. Okay, you're using this set of data, put them in order. Then you'll put the tens place over here on the stem side and the 1 on the leaf side. Okay, and then try your best to make a key and a title. Okay, an example of a key, if I flip back here, would be one of these. Okay, so you could put key 4 bar 2 equals 42. Okay, just so people know that it's not 4.2 or 402 or something of that nature. Okay, so do your best with that and answer the questions that follow, and then flip the page when you're ready. Okay, looking at histograms, okay, I want to just show you that this right here is really informational. Okay, this is like notes. Okay, so this gives an example of what a histogram might look like. Okay, it has vertical bars with no spaces between them. Okay, and we've talked about this, the difference between a bar graph and a histogram. Okay, this symbol we've also seen, it's just a break in the values. Okay, and again, a histogram displays frequency. Okay, how frequently something occurs. Okay, so we'll look at one that's already made and then we'll practice making one together. So this says, the following histogram shows the ages of the workers at Charlie's Food Factory. Okay, we saw this yesterday. Okay, same scenario as the dot plots, but it's in a different format. How many workers have ages between 19 and 21? Okay, well, if I look at the intervals or the ranges on the bottom, 19 to 21 falls right here. Okay, and if I try to figure out how many workers that is, we're between 10 and 12. So I think it's safe to say that there are 11 workers in that age range. Okay, now let's brainstorm. What is a disadvantage of a histogram compared to a dot plot? Okay, so you saw this as a dot plot and now you're seeing it as a histogram. What is not there? Okay, and if you think, okay, we can't see each specific age. We just see intervals. Okay, so in that 19 to 21 range, can we tell how many are 19? How many are 20? How many are 21? Definitely not. Okay, so a histogram in general is less specific. Okay? Or you could say that you can't see each individual data point. What's nice about a histogram is that it condenses large sets of data. Okay, so if you had 100 dots, 100 data values, it would take you a long time to make that dot plot. Whereas it wouldn't be quite as bad or quite as large to try to make a histogram. And that's the benefit of having different ways to display data. If you flip the page, we will build a histogram and you'll be all set. Number 2, in the 2006-2007 Arlington High School varsity boys basketball team had an excellent season, compiling a record of 15 and 5. Okay, 15 wins, 5 losses. The total points scored by the team for each of the 20 games, okay, now we know there's 20 numbers there, are listed below in the order in which the games were played. Okay, so step 1, whenever you're trying to build a frequency histogram, is to make a frequency table. Okay, so we look at the scores, we'll keep a tally, and then we'll total our frequency. So if I see a 76, that's falling in this range. I put a tally. 55 falls here, another 56, 64, 46, 91, 65, 46, 45, 53, 56, 53, 57, 67, 58, 64, 67, 52, 58, and 62. So when I go to find my frequency, how frequently it happened, okay, well, they got 40 to 49 points 3 times. 8 times, 6 times, 2, 0, and 1. And now we will use those frequencies to build a histogram. Okay, ideally, any type of graph or display would always have a title. Okay, so maybe we call this basketball game or basketball scores. Okay, and then we always, always, always put frequency along the side, along the y-axis. Okay, and our frequencies go from 0 to 8. Okay, so if I start at 0, I can just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then our points scored go from 40 to 99. Okay, now in order to prevent wasting space, I'm going to use a break, okay, which lets my readers know I'm going to skip from 0 to 40. Okay. In this interval here, that's going to represent my 40 to 49, which had a frequency of 3. Okay, and it doesn't matter how wide you make your bars as long as they all fit on your graph. Okay, so our next range right here, 50 to 59, has 8. Again, bars are touching. 60 to 69 has 6. 70 to 79 has 2. 80 to 89 has 0. And yes, you need that range to be there. You can't just skip over it. And then lastly, 90 to 99 has 1. And there's our histogram. Feel free to rewind, rewatch, come with questions. I'll see you tomorrow.